Welcome to the Good Growing Grow Along Check-In, Round 2. Garden season is well underway, so we thought it might be a good time to touch base with each other and with you all, see how your unique to you, or new to us species are going and growing. So, Chris, Ken, welcome. Good to see you guys.
It's good to see you. Hopefully your garden is going better than mine. Not to give anything away.
Spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, good to see you, Emily. This is a reality check. Let's call that mid-June reality check.
Yeah, things are getting real now.
Mm-hmm.
We were all like rainbows and sunshine ideals way back when. Now we're putting our money where our mouth is, I guess. Well, first of all, the weather, we were just chatting here before we hit record. Like, it is hot. It got warm quick. So how you two holding up?
I'm glowing right now.
It's
glowing.
It's gross.
Yeah, it's a little gross. It went from really nice weather to really hot weather, and that was a bit of a shock to the system. But my garden looks really good now, finally. There's a couple of plants that were just sitting and waiting for this heat, and now they're starting to take off. And so I'm pleased about that. And we had a nice rain last night, and so we've got some nice soil moisture, finally. You guys?
Nothing. No rain.
Oh, sorry. Sorry to rub it in. We got a really nice rain last night.
Say tonight, maybe. So by the time people are listening to this, who knows?
Yeah. I think you have had rains that we haven't had up here a little farther north. Historically, we've been doing a lot of watering. So
yeah, we've had some good spring rains, like long, I would say maybe 2 or 3 long soaking events, at least in Macomb. But yeah, I know if I drive an hour north, it's like it hasn't rained here in a month.
Yeah, we kind of dried up there in end of May until recently. That was a little rough, but that's okay. How it goes.
So we were nice and dry until the end of May. So we're kind of the opposite.
Okay. Manageable. I'd rather have the rain in the summer, but we don't get to choose. So. All right. Shall we just go through the species and see how we're doing? Kind of the way our survey is lined up. We ask people to check in with each individual species, so why don't we do the same?
Let's do it.
Kick it off. So, Kahari melon. How are yours growing?
Well, I potted mine up. I had them in a cell pack, and then I just potted them up into 4-inch pots because, like you said, Emily, it's been mild. And I've had my stuff outside for at least a month now, and they've just sort of sat there. And so I'm just trying to get a little bit more growth on them before I put them in the ground. And they kind of they've been sitting there, happy as can be, not growing at all.
So you haven't planted them in the ground yet. You still have them in the
containers. They're still in their containers. I am considering putting maybe 2 in the ground and 2 in just larger containers, maybe a 5-gallon pot or something.
Okay. That's good. Ken?
Oh, no. Cut that part out.
For those listening, Ken just showed us a suspicious-looking seed packet.
With seeds in it still.
So, yes, I ran out of seed starting space, and I ran out of space to direct seed. So maybe if we get another, because all this stuff I planted out of our Lukeman garden, we've got another area cordoned off to turn into an in-ground bed. We haven't gotten to it yet. So if we get, regardless of when we get that done, it may not be till September. I'll still plant them just so I can say I did. But don't expect too many updates from me.
That's okay. That's why we do this as a team. Some of us have, we just have different success levels. So it's okay. Mine didn't grow. And luckily I had a little extra seed, and so I just replanted them this last weekend. I had an issue. I don't quite understand what's going on in my I kind of two separate garden areas. And I rotate through, the different crops. And I don't know, I was like what happened, but none of the seeds that we planted out in that area germinated. So I don't know if maybe I was too aggressive when I planted them and planted everything too deep. I watered, but maybe it just couldn't break through. Like the soil kind of forms a crust over when you're using supplemental water. I was trying to monitor that situation, but anyways, nothing came up. So that was frustrating. So I replanted this weekend, and hopefully the rain last night will help get those things kicked out. But we'll see. Maybe we'll just be relying on you and your container ones, Chris, to give us.
There might be some that just mysteriously show up at both of your places in 5-gallon pots.
That'd be okay. Actually, our master gardeners are doing a really good job. So they are growing in one of our local demonstration gardens, and so they have blossoms on their Kahari melon. So I might borrow one from there to try as they develop. But that's how it goes. Have you ever had that where you just like can't explain what happened in the garden?
Every day.
More than I care to admit
that much, Chris.
Yeah, it seems like it. Oh, why'd that happen? That's never happened before.
All right. Moving on. Kahari melon. Next, I have Papalo butterfly. This is the one that we think is supposed to taste like soapy, more intense soapy cilantro. So, yay, I guess, for that.
Yay, I love that soapy flavor.
How is it growing? Because we got to have it grown first before we can taste it. Ken, you start us off.
Yeah, so this one, I think we could pop a picture in here, and hopefully this is actually what the Papalo is. I put the seeds down, and this is what's growing in the area where I put the seeds. So I am going with this is Papalo. So I've got 2 plants, fingers crossed, that are growing. A couple leaves on them. So hopefully, now that it's warmed up, and hopefully the water doesn't shut off completely, they should start getting a little bit bigger here pretty quick.
Excellent. Yeah, we were comparing pictures, and I have a similar, just a seedling situation happening in my garden. Got planted a little bit later. I think that's what I have also growing. It might also just be lamb's quarter and grass in there. We'll see. But our master gardeners have a really healthy couple of plants. And so we will get to taste it regardless of how successful we are outside of their garden. But Chris,
Good.
What do you have?
I potted mine up. And in my potting mix, I added a little bit more slow release fertilizer for all of the plants that we're talking about, just to get them a little bit more, trying to get them to grow, even though nothing has really wanted to. Even some of the other crops that are outside of the grow along, again, they just sort of sat there for a while. And so, but my Papalo are kind of a little leggy. They seem a little thin stemmed. And maybe I had them in too much shade. I'm not sure. It's part shade in my yard. It's like part shade in my entire yard, part to full shade. So they might not be as happy where I have them currently. But right now, we are about to hit that summer solstice time frame. So I'm at maximum solar input into my yard right now. Like that sun is right overhead. Once it starts going a little bit farther south in the sky, the trees shade everything out. And so I got as much sun right now as I can ever get.
When you said that, the master gardeners, their crop is it's like kind of sparse too. It might be partly how the plant grows. I'd be curious what others are experiencing and how Ken and I, our seedlings, develop. It's not like a robust plant. So
Yeah.
At least from what I'm seeing. But I did sneak a taste of it. So I cheated a little bit with that. I couldn't help myself. And so I'm not going to tell you or the listeners opinions. I want everyone to formulate their own, but tried it.
Mhm.
All right. Moving on to the sweet pepper Christmas tree. This one I was excited about. Ken, you grew this last year and really talked it up. So we're really excited about this one. I'll start. I started mine indoors and I babied them and I gave them love. I talked to them every day. And then I transplanted them outdoors and it was cooler weather, during that time period, like end of May. And they just sat there. And then I also, in this area of the garden, had and have just like the most epic battle going on between the rabbits and myself. They are, for some reason this year, just really winning this battle. So I had to do some reinforcement of the exclusion fence. I lost one of them, but luckily the other ones did survive. And so I have some really robust little pepper plants that have taken off lately. And so just thrilled, really excited about getting some of those peppers. So very still nervous, cautiously optimistic about, the rabbit situation because they are a formidable opponent, but we're doing our best. So Ken, how are yours growing this year compared to last year?
So they're doing it. They were kind of sitting there, not doing a whole lot, but now the last week or so, they've really started taking off. I think the two of the bigger ones I have, if I look close, it looks like they may have flower buds starting to form. So they're not terribly large. They're probably only 4 or 5 inches tall, but they're really compact and bushy. So I think hopefully soon here we should start getting some flowers on at least the bigger plants. We still have a couple that are just kind of sitting there, not doing a whole lot. But I think now that we've warmed up and we'll be warming up, they should start again putting quite a bit of growth on.
Nice. Chris, you started yours early. They looked great.
Well, those are the ones that look okay. I didn't get great germination. I got 3 out of we had 5 or 6 to germinate.
Okay.
And one didn't make it past cotyledon stage. And then I took it outside and I had everything labeled, I promise. But I grew other pepper plants too. I always like growing poblanos and things like that. And I had them in a tray that didn't have holes in it. One of those deep soaking rains came along. And I came outside after the rain and all of the pepper plants had left the cell packs and they were all just floating in the tray. And I think I've got them where I need them to be. But we'll find out once we start getting fruit. I will say mine, they like everything else sort of sat there for a while. I do have one in the ground. I potted the other one up, which again, we're all making assumptions here that I still have Christmas peppers left and they're just not all chilies or something. But I potted one up and I planted the other one in the ground. I will say all of my peppers right now have flea beetle damage. They got hit really hard for some reason this last week. I don't see any flea beetles anymore, and they might still be around, but they seem to have, been there and now they're gone. So I don't plan on doing anything about it other than continue to scout for them. And if I see them, then maybe that'll be a cause to do something. But otherwise, I got about like a 3 inches pepper in the ground and about the same thing in a pot.
Very good. Well, I've had that experience too with those soaking rains, so don't feel bad. Mm-hmm. You welcome the rain, and then you go, oh, wait a minute, wait, this is a problem. I have to go address some things. And so,
yes.
Sorry.
I didn't know they'd float like that. I just came right out of the pot, like out of the cell packs, and just started. Yeah,
they weren't root bound
yet.
Mine, no,
mine got disintegrated because I used compostable pots, like the ones that are made of like peat or whatever. And so like my soaking rain that one year where it like disintegrated all the glass and everything got like mixed up. So it was just like I'm growing in just soil. And it was a hot mess. But oh well. Okay. Perhaps the one that I was most excited about growing, which is saying a lot because we I think have some really good selections this year, is the black crim tomato. Let's talk about that because I have to try a black crim tomato. Whether it's from us and we're successful, or I don't know, ask a viewer to share. We need one of these. So, how are your guys' growing? Before I start begging for one.
So I'll say mine. We've got them in ground. I don't know if we talked about this on the last update, but when I took these out to harden off, so I started them indoors. That first day, I think it was a rabbit came by, mowed them all down. Left about an inch stump left behind on them. Left all the other plants in the flat alone. Just the black crim got eaten. Put them in the ground. They are now starting to regrow. Got a lot of new growth, good growth on it. So they're still pretty short because it is all regrowth. Probably should be 2-3 times as tall as they are now if they wouldn't have got eaten off. But they are looking good. I'll probably need to go out and do some pruning because I've got a bunch of branches coming off, and we're going to put them on a stake. So prune it down to one, I guess, main stem there. But should hopefully, unless they come back, be in good shape for black crim.
Chris, how are yours doing?
Excellent. I think I had 100% germination on black crim. So I have more than I need. I have too many. And so I have 3 in the ground. We're going to do a similar staking system as Ken, single stem, tall wooden stakes, and just train them on that. And yeah, they're doing great. And then I guess if the bunnies come down and mow them down, I'll have extras to replace them with. I will say, yeah. Sometimes those animals, maybe they've never had it before, and they're like, I'm going to try tomatoes today, and they're going to realize they don't like them, and they won't come back again.
Hopefully they learn. Hopefully they tell their friends.
Yep.
Well, so I have one growing in the garden, so I'm glad you guys have a few extras. Chris, I might have to. Actually, I'm out of room in the garden, but if something happens, I'll know that I can get it from you. But I started mine indoors. I had good germination. They were growing well. Planted them out at the same time as the peppers, and they were not as successful at protecting those. They all got eaten off like yours did, Ken. So I have a confession to make. You guys know this, but I just wanted some transparency here. I lost all of them. And I was so heartbroken. That's very frustrating that I was at a farmer's market and saw one at one of the booths, and I bought it. And now I'm growing that one because I really was excited about black crim. So I cheated. This isn't the original seed, but it's doing fine. It is kind of stalled with its growth once I planted it in the ground. I planted it like 2 weeks ago, and so it's alive. It's not, doesn't look like it's suffering. It's just not inspired to grow right now. So I'm hoping maybe the heat and the rain can kickstart it. But yeah, I think we'll have black crim, sounds like.
It's not cheating. It's just using the resources available.
Thanks. It was over across the river in Iowa. And so I did actually get to connect with a master gardener coordinator from Iowa through that little connection. I was pleased. It's fun making those connections through plants. When you get to meet people and kind of nerd out with others who are as excited as we are. So, But, all right. Dark purple opal basil. How is this one doing? So this is this is like ornamental edible. This one like crosses the line. So we can talk about how it looks. Then we can also talk about how it tastes maybe later on. So do you guys have some basil growing?
I will be unable to contribute to those conversations because it did not germinate. Planted I direct seed that in some raised beds. Same raised bed as the Papalo didn't get any germination.
Oh.
Sorry.
Well, I have two out of the, again, I think the 5 that we got 5 seeds. So I have 2 little, basil-y looking, bushy looking plants. Again, they're not that tall. Maybe like 4 or 5 inches tall. Haven't put on that terribly much growth, but they look healthy. And those are ones I'll probably sample, one in the ground and one in a container usually. Often I put my herbs and things in a container that are annuals, except for like I know I have sage and thyme in the ground, but basil, things like that usually go in containers so I can move them around, maybe move them inside just to get a little bit more, a couple more weeks out of them.
Nice little comparison too, though, to see like how they do in the container. I like that. I approve. Not that you needed it. Mine's
I'm always seeking approval and validation.
Mine are in the ground. My seeds, I planted them a little bit later. So I was dealing with the rabbit situation. So that slowed down some of the planting progress, but I planted them around June 5th. Have some germination, really successful germination. I guess I didn't count. But I probably have 5 plants growing. And they're doing well. I need to weed around them right now. So when I send some pictures, it'll look weedy, but that's okay. Yeah, they're gonna be good. I think it's gonna be fine. We grew a version of purple, like ornamental basil last year with our master gardeners, and really loved it. And so this one's just a different cultivar, and so I'm excited to see how it does. And I love basil. I love that smell. So I do kind of stick my face in it when I'm out in the garden.
Mm-hmm. Dark basil with black crim. I mean, that's a pairing that you came up with, pizza. Emily. I think it'll be great.
That's a good pizza.
Mm-hmm. There's some Papalo on there too.
I would go for that.
Not. We can.
You soap people don't know what you're missing.
I'm just gonna take your word for it, Chris. Mm-hmm. Okay. Salosha Mega Punk. Chris, this was yours because of the awesome name.
So. I don't want to talk about this one. I can't contribute now.
Me either.
I tried so hard. I tried so hard on this one. I gave it everything. I gave it all that it needed. I gave it heat. I gave it the humidity. I gave it water. I let some dry out. I gave it everything I thought I could give it and nothing. I got no germination.
Huh. That's interesting. I'm sorry. Ken, you too? Nothing.
Yeah, direct seeded. Same raised bed as the others. 0%.
Okay. Well, I don't want to rub it in, but I do have it growing in our master gardener area and at home.
How?
And it's fantastic.
How?
Just direct seed, just luck. Honestly, I think it's just, like nature is just weird. Sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. No, I planted this at the same time as the Papalo and the basil, like June 5th. So, I don't know, maybe the soil was a little bit warmer at the time that I planted it. It had really good germination. So at home, it's just like little bitty seedlings. They're very, very small right now, but you can tell that there is some of that. So they're supposed to have like dark purple leaves, right? And like that kind of like pinkish, like deep colored flower. So the whole thing is supposed to be like, I guess, punk rock. Mm-hmm. And you can already start seeing that, which is kind of cool. There's some green on the seedlings, but they they'll just kind of look cool. It's like hinting at what's to come, hopefully. In our master garden bed, they are farther along. It's a raised bed. They planted it earlier. It's warm. It's in like an asphalt alleyway. And so it's just hotter. It's a warmer microclimate back there. And so planted it. I don't remember the date they planted, but it was in, I'm going to say the beginning of May even. And so it's growing nicely. there's a flower starting to form, so I can see a hint of the color coming on. But all the pictures that I have seen online, like I was expecting just the leaves to be a solid red color. Like it was even one of the descriptions said something like spotless red veined. And so like it indicated in the picture. And then to me, that language says like, it's going to be, there's no variegation with it. It's just going to be this really dark color. But the ones that we have growing have almost like a gradation of color. So like some green towards the stem. And then as you get towards the leaf tip, it turns into that purplish red color. It's very cool. We'll put a picture in of it and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about, but it looks really cool. So I'm so sorry, guys.
It is very pretty on this picture. Yeah. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're growing it. I'm glad someone got it to grow. I hope other people did too.
I'll bring you a bouquet when I see you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Let's move on to another flower I was really excited about. Cosmos, the seashell mix. Mm-hmm. We described them as whimsical. I love that. So how are your whimsical cosmos growing?
I have nothing to contribute.
Jeez, you guys.
Okay. I had 3 plants. I'm down to 1. And so and this one doesn't look so great either. We know Cosmos is leggy and weak stemmed and flippy flappy and flops all over, but I guess I wasn't as prepared for this, and I think it's more my doing. I think I've accidentally killed them as I've moved plants around in pots. I've just pinched the stems and boom, it's dead then. So I have accidentally killed 2 of my Cosmos and 1 remains. So I can't wait to see it. I hope it still survives me.
Yes. Take extra care with her. But all right. So I'm glad then that I also cheated with this one a little bit. So I started the Cosmos indoors, which I have done in years past and had really good success transplanting them. So I didn't think anything of it. Honestly, I think 3 of us were talking about direct seed for Cosmos. And I was like, what? Like, I don't think I've ever grown Cosmos from by direct seed. I know you can, but I just had never done that. So I thought, why change what has worked for me in the past? So I started them indoors, transplanted them outside. They were a little leggy. Was a little concerned about them drying out just, because there's a lot of plant material and the roots weren't as developed as I'd hoped they'd been at the time of transplant. That wasn't the problem with this first go around for me. It was the rabbits. They got them, and just to kind of like twist the knife, they laid the plants next to them. They didn't even eat them. They just like clipped them off and laid the Cosmos next to. And oh man, I was hot. My husband heard it. After that, I was like, you're going to go get some more fencing. And we are going to make sure these little varmints can never get in here ever again. Keeps all of us out too. We don't have a gate. So that's fun feature, but it's worked so far. So I replanted some seeds that I had still. I sent the seeds out in the mail. So I had a few extras. And so I threw those in the ground and they're growing. They are little, but they are growing. And I have a number of them. So hopefully, because pressure's on, I will pay more attention to those and weed around them tonight to make sure that they have no competition. But dang it. I was really excited to have like all those Cosmos. All right.
Yep.
How it goes. All right. Toothache plant. Bullseye.
Ken, got anything?
Ditto. Didn't turn any for me.
You're the one who grew these last year.
So last year I started them inside. This year I tried direct seed again, and that I'm starting to think maybe that raised bed is kind of cursed because it's only growing the Papalo. So, but yeah, didn't put them in there with the others, and I've got nothing. And I think part of that could have been, it's during that dry spell we were watering it, but it just may not have been enough or dried out too much in between waterings. But I I contribute pictures of last year's plants, but nothing for this year.
You gifted us with that experience last year.
Yes.
So that was your contribution.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, do you have
Thank
any?
you, Ken. I do. Yeah.
Okay.
So if folks remember the seed of toothache plant, it's very small. So I just kind of like putting salt on a steak or something, or on potatoes, whatever. And I had one cell pack that was just chocked full of toothache plant. And it was so full, I think it got to the point where I really needed to pot it up and maybe even take a couple like scissors to a few of those to thin them out. Because it got to the point where it looked like the plants were out competing each other. They were exhausting a lot of the resources in that little cell pack pretty quickly, probably more quickly than I could keep up with like water or fertilizer or anything like that. And so I potted them up, and damage has already been done, I think, for some of those, but they sort of self-thinned themselves. All is not lost. So I still have some healthy looking toothache plant that I hope to get in the ground soon.
I planted mine. I direct seeded mine. I tried. Yeah, it was at the same time as the basil and the papalo, and I have it's like this little dedicated space in the garden for all those seeds, and so nothing yet. They are very tiny seeds, and so and they need sun to germinate, and so I sprinkled them on the soil surface. I did water, and we watered a bunch, because it was so dry. And so I don't know if I have germination. I haven't seen, there's things growing there. It might just be weeds though. So I'm still monitoring the situation, but it's not looking great, which is disappointing because I was excited to grow those just for the fun of it. But all is not lost here because, again, master gardeners to the rescue. Like, they're killing it. And thank God for them. So healthy plants out back with some flowers. So fun and shenanigans will ensue. I'll take some home to the kids first and then maybe the colleagues locally. But it's a really cool plant too. It is, maybe my memory just didn't retain this information, but it's more spreading than I expected. At least the one in our gardens. And so that's kind of a cool little feature. Last but not least, Zinnia Old Mexico. How we doing? This zinnias, guys, first out of the gate, can we just say, zinnias are supposed to be just really easy to grow plants. Let's just acknowledge it. And now we'll confess our sins. How are you guys doing?
Pass. Just like everything else. Direct seed, nothing. So.
Oh, okay. Chris, you have anything?
Yes. Zinnias should be easy. They should be. But no, mine got stuck. Did any of yours, have you seen this before where the cotyledon gets stuck in the seed? I had two of mine get stuck in the seed coat, and they, I very carefully tried to pull it off, wound up removing the cotyledon and everything. And so I just had these two green stems for a while, and then they just died. So I have one very not happy looking zinnia. They're supposed to be easy. These have not germinated well.
That was our fail proof.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was. So what? Well, hang on, Emily. So it sounds like yours didn't do so well either. One?
I have one. Just one lonely zinnia. So the joke, I guess I'll say it in my garden. So I have a row of zinnias, and actually I have multiple rows of zinnias. And so I have one end dedicated to the 5 seeds that I had for the grow along, and put them in there, and I put a little stake at the end of it just to denote where those special ones were. And then I just kind of hurried through seeding the rest of them. And in this row and the other adjacent rows are many zinnia seedlings. They are just thriving, living their best life. And then I've got this sweet one little bitty Old Mexico one, just kind of looking around being what's up, guys? why the rush to grow? Because it's just sitting there. I don't know. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. They're pretty tough once they get going, and I'll go weed around it and make sure to protect it. But just one.
Yeah, I don't feel so bad now.
No,
But that's
never feel bad.
Dean.
This is the fun of it. Like
Yeah.
these successes and these lesser successes.
Mhm.
We're still learning.
And we always have too many plants anyway. And this is just a natural way of thinning out what we can't fit in our gardens.
Sure. That's a good way to look at it, Chris.
I'm never direct seeding in raised beds again. I think it's just cursed.
It is. It's a cursed bed. Plant a tree in there instead. See what happens.
Some honeysuckle or something. See if it
There
can
you go.
Really test it out. See if it...
Calorie pear.
No.
Well, you just lost half of the viewing, listening audience.
I know. Everybody just went,
Well,
what are you guys talking
if
about?
it can grow in there, then we know it's not cursed. If it doesn't grow, it's cursed.
Okay.
Then I'll cut it down before it can flower.
Well, okay. We're off to an okay start, though. I don't think there's anything we're totally missing, right? Some is just hanging on by a thread on certain people's shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Others cheated, like getting plants. That's all right. So a couple of us were supposed to be going on vacation here coming up. I know that, and you have a significant time away, and I have one in August. So we'll see. Like that'll be the true test, I think, of our gardens. Chris, you're hanging around. You've got the kids out weeding diligently. They're super
of course
about.
That's they're at my beck and call.
Yes.
If I can find them, which I normally can't anymore. They've gotten to the age where they are starting to roam and hide from me. So they know I have jobs for them.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's, I've turned into my parents when they say, there's nothing to do here. And I'm like, oh, we have weeds to pull. Like I have pulled that
there are
line
things
out,
to do.
and now I thought I never would, and no shame. We got weeds, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, they come up with a list of things to do. So, well, we'll have to check back in. Ken, your vacation's now. My trip is later on, so we'll do a couple more check-ins as we progress through the growing season and see how things turn out for us. Until then, we'll send a survey. We want to hear from our listeners, right? That'll be coming pretty soon.
Hopefully they've had more success than us.
Hopefully.
And if you haven't, you got lots of company.
I would argue good company.
Yep.
No, that's part of the reason we're doing this program, right? We're inviting people to grow along. It's a learning curve. We learn things every year. So, well, thank you guys for checking in on our grow along. The second check-in. We're into the growing season, and so it was time. I appreciate you guys sharing your successes and your challenges. We all have them every year, so it's okay to share them. Ken, have a good vacation. Travels away. You're going to a conference too, so there's some work.
Yes.
We'll expect some notes coming back from it. So can't wait to hear about that. But Chris, you and I can hold down the fort here and figure out how to keep some of these plants alive, hopefully. And we'll check in again in July. So until then, Chris, thanks for checking in.
Yes. Thank you, Emily, for keeping us going. And getting some plants to survive where Ken and I are not.
Well, if you go back and listen to last year, the roles were reversed. So I think maybe it's my time. But no problem. Ken, thank you for checking in. Thanks for everything you do.
Yes, thank you. And thank you for doing the heavy lifting this year. I'll try not to let everybody down.
There's no possible way to do that, Ken. But no problem at all. So, all right. Well, until next time, keep on growing, everybody. right, you ready?
Sure.
As we'll ever be.
Yep.
All right.
As a salami sandwich.
I don't know that saying.
Lunch
Is that
meat's
a
always
saying?
ready.
Oh, but you chose salami as the meat
What
of
if it's
choice?
green and moldy?
Next time it'll be bologna.